Hello, I'm Richard Watson, and this is L'anglais, the easy way. How do you know when you've reached the end of the endless ocean of language learning? You probably don't know what that means. It's not very clear. I had the impression when I started learning French that I was kind of making progress. I knew how to speak in the present. I eventually learned how to speak about the past and how to speak about the future. Kind of could do the conditional, although don't test me on any of these, please. But years later, I kept hearing new structures. And I would say, what is that? And someone would say, that's a subjunctive. And years later, what is that? That's the past simple in French, etc., etc., etc. I had the impression that French was like an endless ocean of stuff I didn't know. Lots of vocabulary I would never learn, lots of structures I would never learn, lots of tenses I could never conjugate, and you feel like you're adrift on an endless ocean with no wind. So, you don't have to do that. Put it the opposite way around. Instead of saying, I've got all this stuff to learn, do it like this. What can I do in English? Make yourself a list if you need to. I can speak about the present. I can speak about the past. I do know how to compare things. I do know how to say what people said to me, etc., etc. And be proud of the things you can do. You don't actually need many things to do a lot. It's exponential. You combine simple sentences to make complex ideas. Join your sentences together. And I would say it's much better for you to concentrate on what you can do and to get really good at doing those simple things and then combining them. And as you get better and better, to add in more and more words. That's the way you should think about it. Learn things easily, get good at them, combine them. Now, we only really think about language in this way, all the words we don't know. I guarantee that if you know how to play the piano, you don't think about all the songs you can't play. You think about what you can play. And if you want a new song, you just learn it. It's the same when you play Scrabble. You don't think about all the words you don't know. You think about the words you can make with the letters you have. And guess what? It's the same with your family and your friends. You don't think about all the people you don't know. You think about the people you do know. Now, how do you get to navigate through this? It seems that you need to choose your objectives. We've talked about that. Pick up real skills in simple tenses, the present, the past, the future, etc., etc. And then afterwards, you have to get real skill at the language. I'll explain what I'm talking about. I mentioned before in another episode that when I arrived in France, I couldn't speak a word of French. I arrived here by accident. This was pre-internet. No Netflix, no Google, no YouTube. I bought a method from the FNAC. Some simple method of learn French in 40 simple lessons or something like that. And from the first day, I started repeating the sentences on the cassette. Yep, cassette is an old thing we had before internet, for record, for CDs, etc., etc. I would copy the sentences. I didn't understand a word of what I was saying. I would literally copy. I would hear, aujourd'hui, Marcel va au marché, and I would say, aujourd'hui, Marcel va au marché, and I had no idea what I was saying. My friends laughed at me. The teachers in the school found it hilarious, and they mocked me mercilessly. And yet I told them I'm not repeating for meaning, and I'm not listening for meaning, I'm listening for sound. I need the sounds first. I need to be able to pronounce something. And one of the funniest things is one of those teachers at that time had studied French at Oxford. She did a PhD at Oxford. She'd been in France for 30 years. She was very good at French. And a few years ago, we had lunch together. And when I heard her accent in the restaurant, when I heard her say, très bien, je voudrais du poulet, s'il vous plaît, I asked her, what is poulet? Which, if you don't speak French, she was trying to say chicken. And I said to her, look, you've been in France for 50 years and you did a PhD in French and you can't say the word chicken. Shame on you. And I said, and you don't think about it because you've never actually started listening to how you speak. Any beginner out there, any intermediate student who's trying to learn, you can do better than her. You can learn to say chicken in about a minute. Listen to how it's pronounced, chicken, and repeat it until it's easy. That's how you make progress in this endless ocean. One little step at a time. You don't need to get anywhere fast, but you do need to keep making those steps. So think about that and don't feel impressed by people who have diplomas, people who are specialists, people who have had training. Anyone can do this. pick up some words, learn to use them properly, learn to put some words together for a sentence, and you're off. Okay, that's all for today. As always, you've got the transcript. Go and read it. Go and translate it if you need it translating. Come back and listen again. Listen as much as you want. Get what you want from this. Nobody's stopping you. Nobody's telling you. It's yours. Pick it up and run with it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.